So, very nearby, Lucas. Welcome to another episode of Fact Fiend Unfocused, where we have just an unfocused, unscripted discussion about a subject of the host choosing. And today, I would like to, in keeping with the theme of the Skelly Bob, this desiccated corpse that has long since passed its prime, I want to talk about Star Wars.
Very fitting to have a skeleton here then, yeah.
I would have had a dead horse if I could have one, which would be both quite good metaphorically and also in a meta sense.
Yeah, but then I would have had to stick with the metaphor and keep beating it.
Yeah.
Just
it
the
would
whole
have been
time.
metaphorical and meta. So it would have been like metaphorical, because obviously then there's a thing of it's pretty much beating a dead horse to be online complaining about Star Wars. So first things first, we need to clarify that, Lucas, you're a man, you are white, you have a beard, you're on the internet. You don't hate women, right?
I don't, but I'm here complaining about Star Wars. Well, not even complaining about Star Wars.
We don't even know where the discussion's going to go, do we?
But I know that it's I'm a guy on the internet. We both are.
Yeah, but you've got a beard, that's the thing.
I've got a beard, yeah. That's where.
And
it's not on my net, though.
The amount of YouTube thumbnails I've seen that is just man with beard complaining about women in Star Wars. So the first thing you should clarify is I actually really like Rey's character. I love Daisy Ridley as an actress. I think she did a really good job being Rey. Mm-hmm. And the material maybe wasn't so great, but yeah, we have no issue with women or minorities being in Star Wars.
None at all.
I actually wish there were more of them in Star Wars, because it's supposed to be an entire universe and it revolves around 3 people.
A galaxy far, far away where 3 families matter, and it's okay, I get it, there's main characters and stuff, the entire 9 movies are beholden to the same story that the original trilogy started telling.
So it was originally the Skywalker trilogy, and then the Skywalker sextilogy, I guess. I'm not sure.
Sextilogy, yeah.
And now it's 9, so like a
non-trilogy.
Well, I guess it's definitely got the word non in there, hasn't it? But so I'm going to start this discussion, Luke, with a question, which is, when did you become disillusioned with Star Wars? Because Star Wars, it will never go away. Star Wars will exist in some way, shape or form forever throughout culture, as long as culture as it exists now continues to just exist.
What we know as modern culture to exist, yeah.
There will always be something about Star Wars, because it's it is achieved the rare status of being part of culture now. In the same way that Sherlock Holmes will always be relevant. Maybe there won't be a Sherlock Holmes movie every year, but people everywhere will know the name Sherlock Holmes.
And because Mickey Mouse won't let you forget about it either. Come into Disney Plus, the 19 Star Wars shows that are going to shove down your throat.
So in the same vein, Star Wars will continue to exist in culture forever, as long as culture exists, it does now, just because it has now reached that status.
My question is, how long are people going to remember who the fuck Cal Kestis is?
Do you know what? It took me a minute to realise who that was. That's it. It took me to say Karl Kestis. I was is he one of the weird, the Squid Man? It's no, it's the main character of. I've got this. Fallen Order.
And Survivor, which is the one that they've announced, which I was hoping would star a different Jedi or someone else that wasn't Cal fucking Kestis.
Yeah. Do you see his real the actor? He went to Galaxy's Edge because they released Karl Kestis' lightsaber, even though Karl Kestis' lightsaber in that game is completely 100% customizable, so he has no set lightsaber.
Yeah.
But he turned up and the actor is just his face is like a fucking stone.
I mean, I've not got a problem with the actor so much as the character, but it's just that's a nice piece of white toast you've got there, isn't it?
No butter, and it's not even warm, is it? But, so when did you become disillusioned with Star Wars? Because while you ever think about that, I can describe the exact moment.
I know exactly when.
Okay, so the exact moment.
Fucking Attack of the Clones.
Oh, okay, that early.
But
what moment?
I did go back up with Force Awakens. I was crying watching Force Awakens, thinking, good Star Wars is finally here. We're finally back to good Star Wars. And then I've gone all full circle again.
Okay, so what moment during Attack of the Clones? Do you recall the exact point?
I don't recall the exact point.
But was it just a general feeling of this movie's bad?
Yeah, it was just the general vibes. And probably just watching it as a kid. And I put up with Jar Jar Binks. And then Attack of the Clones, I was like, there's nothing here grabbing me. Nothing in the entire movie grabbed me at all. and I was perfect age to slop up the prequels because we're 90s kids, like early 90s kids.
Yeah,
so the
prime age for like
prime age,
which means like as 90s kids we grew up with Star Wars already being an established part of culture, knew about its legacy, and then we got caught up in the hype for the prequels. And for me, it wasn't any of those movies that made me get disillusioned. It wasn't any of the sequel movies either. I watched all of them. I had my issues with like those sequels, the prequels, and even the original trilogy. But no, I was still sold on the universe. It was Mandalorian.
Right.
And it was Mandalorian season 1, I want to say, where Luke Skywalker turns up. So she clarifies all the big spoilers for all Star Wars stuff in here. But yeah, it's the instant Luke Skywalker turns up, and I realised they don't care about telling an original story anymore. Because the idea of the Mandalorian hooked me so much. Of like, it is just, it's going to be space western. It's going to be what Star Wars started as, space fucking western. Just.
I do agree. Like that wasn't the moment I fell back around on it, but it was definitely a downer for me because they'd built this, as you say, like the vibes of the original trilogy again, like the space western
with a new character.
With a new character. At first, I thought it was meant to be like Boba Fett, but that wasn't the case. And then it was like original Mandalorian character. And
it's a new character. He's going to old locations. We're going to see him from a new perspective.
I was so happy. It's like we've got Grogu, we've got Baby Yoda, his official title. And
we've got some original, interesting new characters. Like you've got fucking. I'm going to have to double check his name now. Oh, yeah, Werner Herzog coming in for a cameo. Absolutely fucking, like, who the fuck's this crazy man?
And just
who's this crazy old man who's like, the nature of the Baby Yoda.
Did you see the Baby Yoda that was revealed in the pilot yet?
I have seen it on the set. And it's heartbreaking.
Really weird vibes from Mandalorian in the sense of, like, that series was me going, like, ooh, this is good Star Wars again. Like similar to like Force Awakens, where I mentioned earlier. Like,
new characters,
like new
shades of the old stuff to keep
cool. Like I'm really enjoying the vibes of this, and like they're exploring a different aspect of the universe. And then
Luke Skywalker turns up. So I'm not sure the exact point Luke Skywalker turns up.
Right at the end of season 1, I think.
But like the moment, and I went, oh, they're just gonna drop this. And the problem with Star Wars, or why I've disillusioned. So I don't want to say the problem. I want to say like why I've been why me and from my perspective disillusioned is that they are so hamstrung by that original trilogy and the nostalgia for it that they are terrified. When I say they, I mean like Disney. There's like the overarching corporation, all the people working for them are
like
terrified.
Filoni and Favreau and the runners of those shows and stuff like that.
They are terrified to tell a new story. Even though, and that to me, like, it's one of the things that highlighted how weak and thin the universe is. There's so little in that universe to explore that they have to keep bringing back characters that we know rather than tell new stories. And that's why I become disillusioned. Like, they couldn't even get, 12 episodes, without bringing up old stuff.
Yeah.
They couldn't make one season of a TV show without bringing back an original character.
No, I definitely agree, and it's just one of those things of I went through this weird thing of slowly not caring but not realizing that I didn't care anymore, where
just going through the motions.
Through the motions, and it was one of those things of oh okay, well Mandalorian, I enjoyed Mandalorian. Oh, the Bad Batch is out.
I remember getting told to watch that, and I watched one episode and went, I don't care about the clones.
Yeah.
I couldn't give less of a fuck, and it's they are literally
a disposable
the same man with the same face and voice. It's no, but they all, they tell their stuff. I don't care. And that's the thing of when I'm looking at this, an endless army, one of the coolest fictional characters, archetypes in all of movies, the Stormtrooper and the Clone Troopers.
Yeah.
And it's an entire show about them. I don't care.
Yeah, and then
it's impressive to make me not care about a series about space wizards with laser swords.
Exactly. It's really hard to, and I love the Star Wars universe so much. But yeah, I watched Obi-Wan episode 1, turned around to my partner the other day, and they were like, "Oh well, do you want to watch episode 2?" I was like, "Don't know. I'm just apathetic to it."
That's the thing. Yeah, it's you're going through the motions. It's like
Yeah.
a relationship where you don't realise you've fallen out of love.
Yeah, totally. And
Like,
like,
you know,
just
less
slowly
dramatic.
over time in my head going like, I think I'm going to watch Obi-Wan because in my brain I should watch Obi-Wan, not because I'm sitting there
Yeah.
wanting to continue it.
And I had a moment quite recently where, like, you know, episode 3 of Obi-Wan came out. I just put it on, and I'm just sat there like, okay. And then it says like, and gets to the end of the episode, I'm like, okay, I don't care. Like I said, I'm gonna watch it because, you know, we're on the internet. We have to be aware of, like, you know, the big moments in pop culture. And then I put The Boys on season 3, and I'm like, I'm like on the edge of my seat.
Oh, yes. Fuck yes.
Yeah, I stopped myself watching the 3rd episode of The Boys because I want to now wait until the season's over
So you can watch them all.
so I can watch the rest. But yeah, I watched those first 2 episodes and was, this is what it feels like to be excited about something.
For a new TV show, yeah.
And I was like, like itching at like, do I press the play for the 3rd, but then I'm going to get too deep and then get annoyed at the weekly
You
releases.
got to wait a week. And whereas
I'm
with
like,
Obi-Wan,
oh.
it's like the episode came out and I waited 4 days, and I watched it while I was doing my morning workout.
And then I didn't even click on episode 2 that was trying to autoplay. And I was just like,
I don't care.
I guess I'll
And that's the
watch
thing.
it.
It's kind of sad that, like,
Yeah.
this huge part of pop culture is just like completely and utterly lost me. And it's like, you know, such a huge part of my childhood, a lot of people's childhoods. But then I think we have to now just address, like, God, do Star Wars fans not like Star Wars? Like, nobody hates Star Wars fans. No, sorry, no one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
I've never heard any Star Wars fan complain, Carl. No, yeah,
I think the only fandom that hates the thing they proclaim to love more is Pokemon. The only fandom where they absolutely hate the thing they base their entire personality around is potentially Pokemon.
Do I just need to leave now?
And it's kind of sad. And then you see, like, again with newer content, catering towards that aspect of the fan base. That gets me as well, because the whole reason we've got like Obi-Wan series, the whole reason we've got this Obi-Wan series is because of the memes from the prequel trilogy.
I don't like sand.
And something we talked about privately is when you look at interviews with Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor, they have such good chemistry.
Oh, yeah.
They're such interesting, fun personalities, and you can tell they're fun. And then I'm watching it in the show, and it's just like a fucking blank slate. There is none of that on the screen.
And you've kind of mentioned, to me at least, like, I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but then you realise that it's Ewan McGregor trying to emulate Ewan McGregor's performance in a movie directed by a bad George Lucas, who is also trying to emulate Alec McGuinness from, like, the original trilogy, who didn't give a shit about Star Wars and didn't put much into his performance.
Yeah, and I think it's emblematic of the whole series where nobody involved with it really cares. And you have, like, you know, even in the mainline movies, you have John Boyega when he was asked, "Oh, so are you going to go do a..." Do you know when there's like really softball interviews with like comicbook.com where it's basically like a guy wearing a fucking Last Jedi t-shirt. He's there like, "So, do you think you're going to go be on a TV show? We're going to see Finn again?" And just John Boyega, "You're not Disney Plus in me."
Get you to come back to do Finn again.
In what?
I mean, I don't know if Finn is...
You ain't gonna Disney Plus me.
Like the fact, like, you know, John Boyega is like, you know, a young man. He presumably grew up with Star Wars, and the fact that he's in them, and he's like, "I don't care anymore." Or like Daisy Ridley just refuses to talk about Star Wars ever again because she just doesn't care.
And as well, both of them probably also because of like the way the
fandom,
fans reacted to them as characters and stuff, and like
Yeah.
those movies. Yeah, it's not a situation I'd want to be in. And like, I love the fact that just the fan base will be like, well, no, we're not like toxic and we're not horrible. Like, you drove Jake Lloyd into like
Depression.
stopping his career at stage 1 because you like bullied a child.
A literal child, yeah.
Because he wasn't a good Darth Vader, when the point was that this is like the innocent kid and how he turned into Darth.
Yeah, like the Star Wars fan base of bullied a child in Jake Lloyd, like, you know, a hard-working family man in Ahmed Best, who was contemplating suicide for playing Jar Jar Binks for all the bullying. John Boyega was completely disillusioned with acting. Daisy Ridley couldn't give a fuck. Kelly Marie Tran, completely give a fuck. And the best one we have to mention is Mads Mikkelsen. Because, like, you have that...
I thought you were going to say Oscar Isaac. He
Oscar,
doesn't.
he doesn't give a fuck anymore. Then you have, like, that great interview with, like, Mads Mikkelsen, where it's like he's in Rogue One, he's in it for like 10 minutes, And there's just an amazing screenshot which I think sums up like how disillusioned actors are with being in that series, because they, as soon as they're in it, they realise I've got to interact with this kind of person for the rest of my life. It's just him opening up a full bottle of vodka at 10 o'clock in the morning during an interview. And it's just like, oh, so what do you think about Star Wars? Right,
You just see like the soul leave his eyes.
And that's it, he just doesn't care.
Ways of doing filmmaking is you get to go to these places and live as though you were for a moment an Icelander, pardon me. So yes, we
And the fact like this is Star Wars.
Like, we're not harping on the actors to clarify if that wasn't obvious here. Like,
No, like, you know, I love all those actors. All those actors play, like, you know, they do the best with the material they're given.
and I just find it so funny because like, the fans are so desperate, and like even Disney is so desperate to cling to like those core cast of, you know, characters where like Ewan McGregor was asked of, well, after Obi-Wan season 1, because you've enjoyed the process, like, would you like to do season 2? Apparently he was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, because
I'd
you
love
know,
to do season 2, but it's like you can't keep taking the hermit character that lived in a cave out of the cave over and over again. Like they have an okay
like, yeah.
premise in season 1, but like you can't keep doing it because then Luke wouldn't be like, well, that's the hermit guy that never leaves his cave. He's a fucking weirdo.
Like, I mean, like, we're 3 episodes in and he's not been back to his cave once. Like, spoilers, I guess, for like, if anyone's like wanting to like, wait for it all to get released, for know when this gets released. Like, and as well, like, they put Hayden Christensen in it. And I'm gonna, like, you know, minor spoiler for episode.
I'm gonna say big spoilers because people over-exaggerate spoilers, but yeah.
Yeah, Hayden Christensen's in it. And they just have like a shot of like Obi-Wan going, and he sees like Hayden Christensen in the robe. And it's like, why is that scene? And then you know, oh, that scene's there because otherwise Hayden Christensen's in the Darth Vader armor all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like reading like, not reviews, fan reviews on like Reddit and stuff like, oh, that really took my breath away to see Hayden. It made me so happy to see Hayden Christensen.
It's in like scarred and stuff.
No, he's just like, you know, regular Hayden Christensen wearing the robes and he like.
Oh, like
he's
back in time kind of
he's
thing.
He's haunting Obi-Wan. It's like, it was only 10 years ago when people were shitting on his performance for being so bad.
Again, another person that pretty much got driven out of acting for a long time because of Star Wars.
Yeah, and he only came back because, like, you know, of the chemistry with Ewan McGregor.
And as well, I presume because like the internet's gone full circle with the memes, and now they love him.
Which is something I want to talk about. Of the ironic enjoyment of the prequel trilogy has, I think, directly contributed to just the death of discourse about movies online. Where ironic enjoyment is 100% a thing. I love so many bad movies. We've talked about so many bad movies.
Morbius sweep, let's go.
Yeah, that's it. People like can ironically enjoy a movie.
Yeah.
And there are so many like bad B movies, like, you know, just old schlocky action movies, or, you know, modern blockbusters, like, you know, guilty pleasures.
Yeah.
The idea of that is completely gone because discourse about media now has been boiled down to good, bad. That is it. And there's no nuance there. You can't say good because I enjoy it ironically, or bad because of what. No, it's good or bad. Do not say any more words. It's good or it's bad.
And it's weird because I see a lot of the time people's argument to that is like, well, that's on Twitter. That's where people have 480 characters now.
I've seen in every.
But like,
form
you go to Reddit and see like a 5,000 word document on why this is shit, and it's just, there's no nuance. It's just, this is bad.
Yeah, and then all of the comments to it that get upvoted are the most like, it's shit. And it's like, I believe it's directly contributed to like the death of discourse about media, because you can't, even on like YouTube, you can't have a nuanced discussion. It's either got to be it's bad or it's good, and no one really cares about like your reasoning. And you'll see it, like there'll be people in the comments of this video not watching the whole thing because like we'll have said one thing that's either positive or negative that they disagree with, so they can go argue against it.
Well, I experienced that at time of recording, like literally yesterday on this channel. So I put out like a video about Pokemon, and now I'm like, well, for the first time in a long time, like, I'm quite excited about where Pokemon's going.
Okay.
And then, you know, had like I think it was like 6-7 minute video about that. And then some of the comments were just like, well, if every Pokemon in the world isn't in this game, it's fucking dead to me. Worst shit ever.
Which is not even something you bring up on.
I don't discuss it as well, so I'm not even sure those people like are watching the video.
No, they see that it's a discussion about something that they're very opinionated about, and they want to give their opinion on it without any sort of like thought or anything gone into it. And I think the prequel trilogy, the memes, has contributed to that because it's boiled down. People are simply unable to parse why they enjoy those movies, or they don't realise that people are enjoying it ironically.
You need to have a discussion with Sony execs about that, don't we?
Yeah. The Morbius movie is a great example. It's like it's been re-released in cinemas because Sony thought fans were being serious.
1,000 theatres got a re-release of it because, like, some executives didn't understand that memes didn't necessarily mean people liked something.
Yeah, and that's what's happened with Star Wars, where like fans have not realised, like, you know, those kind of fans. And when I say those kind of fans, people know what I mean. If you don't, then you very well
might be one of
you might be one of them. They don't realise that people were ironically enjoying Star Wars. But they've taken it and they've made so much of their personality the memes that they can't accept that the thing they like is bad. And even though that is a perfectly valid thing to do, like, people enjoy the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I went recently to a Rocky Horror Picture Show showing, and no one is like, you know, under the illusion that that's a good movie, but they fucking love it.
I mean, like, it's a good movie in the sense that it leans hard into what it is.
Yes, it's campy.
Yeah.
But it's not like, you know, it's not high art. But
No, it's no Citizen Kane.
yeah, and no one there is under the illusion that it is. But then when it comes to like Star Wars, they're simply unable to pass that. All these jokes about the movie, like, you know, we can still like it, you know, in that campy way, and that's why I was really hoping that, like, the Obi-Wan show and the newer things, like, they'd lean into that campiness element of it. But they seem to be like they're so desperate for it to be taken seriously. They're so dour. There's no humour.
Didn't even start the show with a hello there.
That I was baffled.
How?
Like, there's a bit in the third episode where, like, just like the Obi-Wan and Leia, they're in disguise, and Leia's like, "Oh hi, I'm like insert made-up name, so you don't know who I am. This is my dad," and you can see that Ewan McGregor shuffles up, and it's like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is where they're going to put the hello there. This is the thing, like, the entire internet has been waiting for this. Like, nobody thinks, like, Star Wars now is at the point where no one gives a fuck. We just want it to be a train wreck.
Yeah.
And, like, it's like
a fun train wreck.
Yeah, it's the perfect setup for Ewan McGregor to go, hello there. And it's like, and he just comes up and he goes, hello.
Father, aren't you going to say hello?
Hello.
And it's like, what are you doing? The only reason people want this show to be made is because of the fucking memes.
Yeah.
And they won't even put them in. Because Disney is simultaneously trying to cash in on, like, the cachet of this ironic enjoyment of the movies that some people take too seriously. But they're not leaning into it. It's like, say, I don't know, God, what's his name now? Never Gonna Give You Up.
Rick Astley.
Imagine if Rick Astley went on stage and didn't sing Never Gonna Give You Up.
I would
Yeah.
I would unironically love to watch the audience reaction at the end. I'm not going to lie, but that would be a shit show.
And the reason I've mentioned that is because Rick Astley has gone on record when people asked him, do you get tired of singing the same songs? I was like, well, no. That song has basically revitalised my entire career. My entire career that I have now is owed to that song. Of course I'm going to sing it.
Fond memories of it, for starters. And also, I didn't do it for 15 years. It's not like I've been treading the board since, you know, so... and also, I can see the reaction that those songs get, and I have that reaction when I'm at gigs with certain bands that I want to go and see. So I totally understand it. I embrace it, you know.
Of course, he's going to love the fact that one meme, like, has basically set him up for the rest of his life.
Yeah, and then, like, that's the thing where you have this, like, weird dichotomy between the fans of Star Wars and people making Star Wars, where they will simultaneously, like, try and take the things that the fans enjoy, of, like, to turn it into, like, you know, an Obi-Wan show. Because that show would not have got made if it wasn't for the resurgence of interest in the prequels.
Probably not, no.
No, it owes its existence to that. But then the show is seemingly like a fuck you to the fans who enjoy it ironically, and I don't like using this discussion because it makes you sound entitled. Like, we're not owed it.
We're not.
But it's weird that it's not in there.
And I have a theory in the sense that, like, I think a lot of the higher-ups on that show and on Star Wars in general
don't like
are
it.
the people that grew up watching the original trilogy, so still have that, like, serious reverence for Star Wars and want it to be taken seriously, like The Mandalorian and things like that, and they want it to be that, like, high art. But
even though George Lucas was a terrible director.
I can see, give it 10 years maybe, Obi-Wan being made, like, if it got made in 10, 15 years, it would have been someone who like understood that the memes were why people like that Obi-Wan performance.
It's like this series has lost all of its like standing as like a piece of serious cinema, and that's fine.
Like,
and there's so little. I don't want to say humor, but I mean like humanity to those movies. They like the prequel trilogy is obviously like very manufactured. Like,
you don't like the talk of the Trade Federation?
I don't know, and like there's a sheen, a literal sheen across them from all the CGI, which makes them, and it's like one man's vision. And George Lucas, people don't know this, directed everyone playing a Jedi to talk with no emotion, because Jedis don't show emotion, which means that almost every actor in the film is fucking awful.
With your permission, my master, I have encountered a Vergence in the Force. A boy. His cells have the highest concentration of midichlorians I have seen in a life form. It is possible he was conceived by the midichlorians.
He won't give up his power. I've just learned a terrible truth. I think Chancellor Palpatine is a Sith Lord.
A Sith Lord?
Yes, the one we've been looking for.
How do you know this?
It's I've had this discussion about, like, off topic a little bit. Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy 13.
Oh, where she was directed to.
She was written to have no personality. And I've had this argument with people before of like, yeah, but she's got no personality because that's what happened to her character. And yeah, but someone decided to write that into the story and make her purposefully uninteresting. Like, why would you make that creative decision?
And that's the one about like, the prequel trilogy where all of the actors, you've got like actors as good as like Ewan McGregor, like Samuel L. Jackson, Liam Neeson.
How the fuck could you not say that they're good actors?
Yeah, and they're fantastic actors, but with the material they were given, the direction they were forced to do. Like Hayden Christensen, basically his career was killed in the crib because every scene he is in that movie is awful from an acting point of view.
You tell me actor. That like it's not the director when you've got people like Natalie Portman, Oscar-winning actor Natalie Portman, and like again Samuel L. Jackson, and like people who are literally like winning Academy Awards for their performances are like just giving the most drill performances of their career.
Yeah, and that's because people maybe don't know this, like George Lucas. There's actually an argument that the prequel trilogy is the most expensive series of independent movies ever made, because George Lucas owned Star Wars outright, and he even owned pretty much every aspect of production, because he owned ILM.
Yeah.
So there's an argument to be made that they are the most expensive and like ambitious student indie movies ever made, because it was one man's vision. He had absolute, complete creative control over every aspect of it.
It's literally how Star Wars A New Hope, now titled, but originally just Star Wars, that's how that was seen during production. It's like no one believed in it. It was this indie creator with a bunch of unheard of actors like trying to make this space opera, and everyone just wrote it off.
And the story is that it was awful, and it was saved in the edit. Famously saved in the edit. Because it was directed so poorly. And George Lucas didn't direct the following two, I believe. And
the best two, arguably.
Then he went ahead and wrote and directed the next three. They were all awful. And then that's the problem where everything released since is now trying to emulate this horrible combination, this like contradictory, oxymoronic, just mixture of ideas that do not gel at all together.
And then we can have a whole discussion about like the mix match of directors between the sequel trilogy, but that's another half.
No, that's a conversation for another day. But yeah, like I'd hope people do find this at least somewhat interesting, and that's the thing. I'm aware of the fact, because we've not been horribly hyperbolic about how shit or how good it is. Like, I'd hope people see this as a more nuanced discussion, which I find more interesting.
If anyone makes Obi-Wan Season 2, lean into the memes.
Just make it fun.
Yeah.
Like Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen are having so much fun in all the interviews, and the instant they're on screen, they look like they fucking hate it. And I don't want to watch a show where the lead actor looks like he doesn't want to be there.